cr101radio.com, podcasts, and more.
9. The time of God's power. Church and state were both ordained by God to serve and to glorify Him. The purpose of the state is to be God's ministry of justice, and the duty of the church is to be the ministry of grace, the ministry of the Word and the sacraments. However, throughout history, both church and state have usually been apostate. They have glorified themselves rather than the Lord. Washington, D.C. and the various state capitals give us imposing monuments to the wealth and power of civil government, and the country is liberally dotted with beautiful and costly churches. In spite of this, there is a famine of obedience to God and a widespread contempt for His word. This presents us with what appears to be a discouraging situation, and all too many people are badly disheartened and downcast. The reality is, however, that God's greatest miracles and His greatest advances of His work in history have been done outside both church and state. God has not shared His glory with apostate statism and churchmen. He has never allowed them the luxury of saying that God's work is dependent on them. Examine the times of God's great works in biblical history. The days of Noah, Abraham, Moses, Elijah, and of Jesus Christ were times of apostasy in church and state, but God's most dramatic works occurred in those days. God's power has not been tied to institutions or to men then or since. One of the worst of humanistic heresies is the common saying, quote, "God has no hands but mine to use." It leads to arrogance on the part of men and institutions. God shall accomplish His predestined purpose with or without men. God's kingdom cannot fail, nor His throne and governments be shaken by men or nations. We have no need, therefore, to ask about results or to question the outcome. The duties God requires of us are plainly stated in Scripture, and we are required to be obedient, not to doubt the results. Very simply, the duties are ours to fulfill. The results are in the hands of God, who cannot fail. We must therefore not be discouraged by man's failure. Quote, "Cease ye from man, whose breath is in his nostrils, for wherein is he to be accounted of?" Isaiah 2:22. God is on the throne, and every day is the day of His power.